name is Olutobi Onoji, and I work with the Nigerian Exchange. I will be your moderator for today's webinar. We're excited that you could make time to join us today for today's session, despite your busy schedule. Before I present an overview of the agenda, I would like to cover a few housekeeping rules. For you, our speakers, please remember to keep your microphone muted throughout the session, except if you're invited to make a presentation or a contribution. For attendees, we invite your active participation in this session via the chat box on your screen. If you have at any point in time any questions to ask about the presentations, kindly type your questions in the Q&A box, and the team from the Nigerian Exchange or from Transcorp would do our best to respond to the questions during the sessions, or would hold it for the appropriate Q&A session towards the end of this program. Today's session promises to be truly engaging and insightful. The welcome address will be delivered by Divisional Head, Listings Business at the Nigerian Exchange, Mr. Olumide Bolumole. His welcome remarks will be followed by remarks from Dupe Olushola, the Managing Director and CEO, Transcorp Hotels PLC, who will delve right into the presentation of the facts behind the figures from Transcorp Hotels PLC. We would also hear from Oluwatobi Loba Ojediran, the Chief Financial Officer, Transcorp Hotels PLC, and Ifeoma Okafor Obi, the Director of Business Development, Aura for Transcorp, both of whom will deliver parts of the presentation. Please remember, right? Please share your questions, whatever questions you may have on the presentation via the Q&A box. Thank you once again for joining us for this session. I will now yield to Mr. Olumide Bolumole for his opening remarks. Mr. Bolumole, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Olutobi. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to today's Facts Behind the Figures presentation and closing gong ceremony of Transcorp Hotels PLC. Recently, the Nigerian Exchange hosted the CEO of Transcorp Hotels PLC, Mrs. Dupe Olushola, to a digital closing gong ceremony to commemorate the formal listing of their 10 billion naira rights issue. We are pleased that the company has again chosen to utilize our platform to engage the market about its financial performance, as well as strategic and operational developments within the organization through a Facts Behind the Figures presentation. Given that information asymmetry affects the decision-making of investors, we encourage more issuers to take advantage of our platform to deliver timely, relevant, and accurate information to the market. In 2020, the African hotel and tourism industry was one of the most impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, reportedly losing over $50 billion in revenue due to the lockdown protocols that placed significant restrictions on tourist movements across the continent. In Nigeria, revenues declined by 18% in the tourism industry, from 637 billion naira in 2019 to 524 billion naira in 2020. Additionally, GDP for the hospitality sector contracted by 15% in Q4 2020 from a 2% growth registered in Q4 2019 as reported by the National Bureau of Statistics. The outlook for the industry remains challenging despite a gradual recovery in leisure travel, fueled by optimism about the efficacy and availability of vaccines. Understanding and responding to consumers' changing behaviors will be essential to the recovery of the hospitality sector. Organizations will need to reimagine the customer experience and improve their operational agility and financial resilience to navigate the uncertainties of doing business in the new normal. Transcorp Hotel is responding by creating ever-changing needs. This commitment to innovation has placed the company in a position where they can efficiently serve customers beyond the hotel premises through the recent launch of Aura, a digital platform aimed at connecting people remotely to quality accommodation, great food, and other experiences. We expect this digital solution will help usher in a new dawn for the hospitality industry, and we anticipate more innovative solutions from Transcorp Hotels as they navigate the current economic landscape. The exchange recognizes these efforts made by the board and management of Transcorp Hotels PLC towards achieving business continuity by enhancing the organization's operational efficiency. We congratulate you on the successful unveiling of new product lines and efforts towards repositioning the organization, thereby reassuring investor confidence in the company. Last month, the exchange celebrated the successful completion of the demutualization process, having received all the requisite approvals from the SEC and the CAC. To this effect, a new non-operating holding company, the Nigerian Exchange Group PLC, or NGX Group, has been created with 3 operating subsidiaries, namely Nigerian Exchange Limited, or NGX, which is the operating exchange, NGX Regulation Limited, or NGX Redco, the independent regulatory company, and NGX Real Estate Limited, or NGX Relco, the real estate company. This marks a historic milestone for the exchange, as it better positions us to execute our strategic vision to be Africa's premier exchange hub and offer our stakeholders a new corporate structure with no loss of service, enhanced corporate governance, and a more globally competitive exchange. NGX remains committed to providing issuers with a platform that allows them to meet their strategic business objectives and consistently engage with various stakeholders, including government, policymakers, and intermediaries on notable opportunities for the development of the capital market. As a platform for capital formation, we have developed products and services to support capital raising for various categories of corporates. Last year, despite the impact of COVID-19, the exchange facilitated needed financing with over 2.5 trillion in capital raised by governments and corporates across various asset classes. This has continued into this year with over 2.4 trillion raised through equity, debt, and other products. We encourage Transcorp Hotel PLC to continue to strive for sustainability by adhering to the highest standards of disclosure and corporate governance. We believe going forward, the uncertainties of doing business in the new normal will position the organization to attain deeper social impact, higher regulatory compliance, and more importantly, greater return to shareholders. We thank you for your presence today and encourage you to participate fully in the interactive session. Ladies and gentlemen, we now invite Transcorp Hotel PLC to make their presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, CEO and executives of the Nigerian Exchange. Thank you so very much for the great work that you're continuing to do. Good afternoon, our capital market operators, stockbrokers, and the investing community. Good afternoon, colleagues, and to the general public. I'm very pleased to be here today. And indeed, again, I'd like to commend you on all the work that you're doing so far at the Exchange. As you earlier introduced me, my name is Dupe Olushola, the CEO of Transcorp Hotels PLC. And with me on the call are some of my executives, which I believe you introduced some of them earlier on. Oluwatobiloba Ojediran, our group CFO, company secretary, Kofo Olokun Olawanyi, also on the call with us, and Ifoma Okafobi, our business development director for Aura, our newly launched asset-light business. As you're all aware, Transcorp Hotels PLC is listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. We're a leading hospitality conglomerate with over 800 rooms in our flagship hotel, Transcorp Hilton Abuja, and Transcorp Hotels Calabar. I will present today and tell you about some of the great and exciting things that are happening within our company and some of the plans that we have going forward. That we thank you for this opportunity to be able to carry our stakeholders along as well. So we have a detailed presentation that I'd like to take us through today, and I'll highlight some of the things that we're doing. Thank you. So Bayo talked earlier on about some of the things going on in the industry. So very quickly, I would not spend too much time on the industry. We know that globally and indeed locally, the industry, the hospitality industry has been impacted by the COVID pandemic. It's been almost 15 months now, And we see that the impact, the hospitality industry and aviation industry are probably some of the worst hit. The world has and continues to suffer sizable losses and setbacks due to this pandemic. Particularly in the hospitality space, our businesses have really taken a hit. The pandemic created great uncertainties, resulting in a drop in revenue and losses for most businesses. The impact has actually necessitated what we call the new normal. It's forced us as business leaders to really start to reimagine and recreate what hospitality would look like. It's forced us to think of ways to be innovative and stay afloat and remain competitive despite the pandemic. Successful hotels have leveraged upon the need to innovate and reinvent themselves in this period. Globally, some of the interesting things that have started to change is the need to focus on safety, focus on hygiene. At Transcorp Hotels, we have done no different. What we did very quickly was that we invested significantly in hygiene and safety standards across our hotels, both in Abuja and in Calabar. Paramount for us and priority was at the onset of the pandemic, the priority was to keep all of our staff safe and all of our employees and guests and other stakeholders at the hotel safe. We introduced a clean stay program, which involves an intensified cleaning of our rooms and all public areas, ensuring that rooms were actually properly cleaned and sealed before people checked in. Globally, some of the other initiatives or some of the important things or blocks are innovation and digitization. And when we talk about Aura, you would see that it's one of the areas that we've moved to. Also, no news in saying that hybrid of events today ordinarily would have been physically present at the exchange doing this facts behind the figures, but things have changed very rapidly. And so you would see that there's an increased norm of hybrid of events where things are happening virtually and physically as well. Staycation is also globally what has come to stay as well. And we have also taken advantage of that within our own space as we have aggressively pushed and marketed and continue to actually increase the domestic leisure sector. So just going quickly to the overview of the Nigerian industry and landscape, it is not very different from what we have seen globally. So like other parts of the world, the lockdown was among measures targeted at curbing the spread of the COVID virus. However, what we did at the hotel and in the Nigerian industry generally was that we took this opportunity as an advantage to actually create a market for domestic tourism. We marketed aggressively staycation and different activities that would bring people to our space so that hospitality has actually come to stay as a mainstay. Despite the adverse effect of the COVID pandemic, all of our business segment, we remained resilient and took a critical and fundamental decision to stay open within this time. We invested more actually within communicating with all of our stakeholders. We ensured that we kept our lights on. We ensured that communication was priority and safety and hygiene was critical. We also used this new normal to introduce new businesses within this time frame. So we're very positive and proactive in everything that we did, and we're able to successfully implement new strategies and initiatives for this period. The good thing is that as the pandemic and as the vaccine has been far-reaching, we expect and will continue to push the new businesses that we have added on. So it's though global standards and global research has actually said that the recovery is not expected to take place until 2023. Thankfully, what we have started to see is a continuous recovery within our own space, and some of these initiatives are really have really been very successful in helping us achieve this. Thank you. I will move on to the profile of our company. Like I mentioned earlier on, Transcorp Hotels PLC is a premier hospitality company in Nigeria, and indeed is Africa's leading hospitality company with over 30 years experience and over 802 hotel rooms between Abuja and Calabar. In Abuja, we have our flagship hotel with over 670 rooms and adjudged the best hotel in Nigeria. We have 116 deluxe rooms and 127 executive suites. In Calabar, we have over 132 rooms in our premier destination, which is a landmark hotel known to local and visiting clientele from different locations. Just going straight through to our leadership. So Transcorp Hotel is the management. I am the CEO, MD of the hotel, and we have a very strong and capable, accomplished board of directors led by Mr. Emmanuel Onorom. Our board is made up of a mix of non-executive, independent non-executive, and executive directors whose pictures will follow in the following slides. Yeah. So you can see there our board of directors led by Mr. Onorom and other directors as well. So going straight through to, you can move the slides, sorry. Okay, and this is the profile of my management company. We have very powerful women also on our team, who some of them I introduced earlier on, and the general managers of both of our hotels, Kevin Brett and Mr. Chuma. So going straight through to something that is very important to us and we pay particularly close attention to. At Transcorp Hotels PLC, we prioritize and take good corporate governance very, very seriously. And this has earned us the CGRS rating from the exchange. It is indeed a sign of our commitment to the high standards of corporate governance that we believe in. It goes beyond the creation and delivery of long-term value to our stakeholders, but focuses more intently on the long-term sustainability of value creation in a manner consistent with our core values and good corporate governance practices. At our board, the company has a board approved policies focused on promoting good corporate governance within the company. In 2020, 14 policies were approved and updated by the board. All our regulatory filings and reportings are done as required by law. Just to speak a bit about our free float, and which remains priority for us as a leading organization. Our strategy for free float remains as thus: a continued engagement and appointment of financial advisors, United Capital, to ensure that we're able to meet the requirement, continued stakeholder interest in ensuring that we're able to achieve and ensure strong patronage and buy when we go to the market. So this facts behind the figures is one of the key things that we're ensuring that we ensure that we actually deploy to meet the criteria for the free float. Okay, we can move forward. Okay, so as part of our compliance, the company has actually embarked on a number of business recovery strategies, some of which I will talk through in some of the businesses that we've actually introduced within this time. Completion of our 2020 financial audit was also successfully completed in 2021, Q1 2021. Our annual report also was finalized and provided to the exchange as well. So basically, we continue to engage very actively with the stock exchange to make sure that we're taking the required steps to meet the conditions that are set to ensure that we meet the 2020, the free float, which we plan to meet by 2023. Okay. So some of our key milestones, we have achieved significant milestones since the inception of the organization. Just going straight through to 2019, we successfully completed the upgrade of Transcorp Hilton, spending over $100 million in this upgrade. And some of you that have visited would definitely see in our rooms and open space how we've actually stepped up and delivered world-class best facilities. Also in 2019, we received the certificate of discharge from National Council of Privatization, where the VP commended us on our turnaround expertise and all the things that we have done to ensure that this hotel is a leading hotel and leading business. In addition, with our increase and growing portfolio of innovative products, we've actually received significant awards both internationally and locally. Last year, we received and awarded the TripAdvisor 2020 Traveler's Choice Award, receiving Africa's Leading Business Hotel Award, Nigeria's Leading Business Hotel, Nigeria's Leading Hotel, and Best Performing Leading Hotel Suites. Same in different categories, we also won the Best Independent Brand Hotels and Best Ethnic Restaurants across our hotels. We have also significantly done several things within the time frame, but what I will do now is I will actually, Toby. Okay. So also significantly, and like was mentioned earlier on, we did a rights issue, which was successfully subscribed by over 99%. And we were successfully able to raise over almost 10 billion naira for through our rights issue. And this was really to mitigate against refinancing risk and shore up our liquidity. In addition, we were able to successfully complete our bonds repayment. And this also helped us to equip with a financial plan and clear our targets to stabilize our balance sheet and ultimately our leverage position. We are set to take advantage of the prevailing low rates and also buy back majority of our outstanding through the Series 1 bond as well. As a company, we will continue to build on our team of exceptional people and customer-focused strategy. And so we'll talk a bit more about our strategic initiatives, but I will let our CFO take us through our financials now to go through our financial performance. Thank you very much. Toby.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so I would take our financial performance for the year 2020. Okay. So basically, our gross revenue was our gross revenue was 10 billion, which was down by 50% relative to the record high performance in 2019. In 2019, we recorded 20 billion. Actually, we started the year with quite an optimistic intention to actually surpass this 2019. But as we all know, with the COVID-19 pandemic, we started seeing decline in our occupancy, and this eventually affected the results that we recorded in 2020. But it's also worthy to note that, subsequent to the lockdown, some of the things and initiatives that Mrs. Dupe has earlier spoken about actually led to some remarkable recovery that we experienced in Q3 and Q4 of 2020. We actually saw a monthly occupancy that rose from as low as 10%, 10.9% in June to as high as 55% in December. So going straight to our statement of financial position. So just like Mrs. Dupe has mentioned earlier, we actually, one of the results of our financial plan and strategy is actually the equity raise that was quite successful, and this has actually helped us to better optimize our capital structure, and that's why you can see a reduction in our group liabilities, because one of the key things that we used in terms of the use of proceeds was to actually offset some of our high cost loans. And yes, sorry. Okay. So actually, can you mute, please? Okay. All right. So we actually used the proceeds to offset some of our high loans, and this is actually seen in the reduction in our total liability, and consequently an increase in our equity. So I am going straight to some of our key performance indicators. So what we saw, just like I earlier mentioned, was a decline in our occupancy, our ADR, and our RevPAR at the peak of the pandemic. But looking at Q3 and Q4, we began to see an upward trend. And one thing that we are proud of is the fact that we generally outperformed our industry, especially starting from September down to the end of the year. Thank you. I'll hand over back to Mrs. Dupe. Okay, so while we wait for her, in terms of our key strategic initiatives, our vision at Transcorp Hotels PLC is to become the leading hospitality brand in Africa, starting from Nigeria. And we intend to achieve this by sweating our existing assets and as well as operational excellence, expanding into new businesses and locations, as well as increasing efficiency through innovation and as well as investment in technology. Some of our key initiatives, which you actually mentioned in the course of our presentation, is our asset-light strategy, AURA, the multipurpose center, and as well as our co or shared working space. We'll talk more about this. In terms of sweating our existing assets, we're looking at revenue optimization, our brand awareness and perception, customer satisfaction, and stakeholders engagement. Okay, so at this point, I'll hand over to Ifeoma, who is our business director, AURA, business development director for AURA, to talk more about AURA.
Thank you very much, Toby. Okay, so Aura by Transcorp, as clearly stated, is a digital platform that connects travelers to unique properties, restaurants, and experiences across Africa. And of course, we're starting from Nigeria. And behind this, we plan to partake immediately in the very, very valuable asset sharing segment, but even more importantly, on the long term, to be part of prospective ecosystem, and that will support the country's recovery efforts. So think about Aura like you have a wedding you want to attend. It's in a town you're not familiar with. What Aura does for you is that you don't need to disturb the host. At the fingertips, you can literally look at it and you see, where's the hotel you want to stay, where the restaurant are, and what are other things, so that you can even turn it into a staycation other than just what you want to travel with. And so this is a platform that is useful for you, whether you're a traveler for leisure or for business, whether you've just been relocated. What we want to achieve with Aura is that we make you local on arrival. And when you get there, you have the flexibility to live your life and you're able to achieve whatever you want to achieve, and you can come back very, very happy, well rested. That's what we want to really achieve with Aura. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Foma. One of our other key strategy is actually to leverage on some of our existing properties and look for ways in order to boost our revenue. And that's what has, brought up the idea of actually converting a 400 square meter warehouse, which was formerly used to store materials during the upgrade, into a 300 capacity event center. Transcorp Event Center, which will be purpose built, will actually feature refined and functional amenities that will become suitable venue to host medium and large scale events such as trade fair, weddings, and concerts. It's actually, I'll go straight to the co-working space. So this is actually supposed to, Transcorp Event Center is actually supposed to meet the needs of the overflow that we currently have in terms of the social gathering the social distance guidelines for our current Transcorp Congress Hall. So the Transcorp Event Center will actually accommodate some of this overflow and also have the capacity to host larger events.
Thank you very much, Tim. You can move the slide. So basically, I think one of we're very, very optimistic about all the initiatives and all the work that we're doing at Transcorp Hotels. You heard Ifoma talk about Aura. Aura for us is extremely exciting. It is a new initiative that is going to bring so much to all of our guests and all of our shareholders and stakeholders as well. There's nothing else like it in our market. And so it really gives people the flexibility to be able to get the required or accommodation that meets their standards in any town or city that they're traveling to. So more than just the accommodation as well, one of the things that Aura also does give as well is access to experiences. Whether you're trying to take a cooking class or yoga class in any location, you're able to actually go onto this app, be it on your phone or on your laptop, to be able to book the experience, the accommodation, or even an office space that you want. Toby also mentioned earlier on about our event center. Basically, across the group, what we're looking at is ensuring that we're able to optimize all of our assets to ensure that it's generating additional revenue for us, and ensuring that in this our quest to be the leading hospitality company, we're taking advantage of all the opportunities and ensuring that we become the leaders within this space. So there's so much planned from our perspective, and in terms of initiatives that we're launching. We're continuing to deepen within our existing hotels in Calabar, in Abuja. We have really become the central hub for leisure, the central hub for domestic tourism, where people are looking for what to do. They're immediately thinking, how do I go to Transcorp Hilton Abuja? Because there's definitely going to be something going on. We've actually successfully increased our leisure guests and diversified our business, meaning that it's no longer just about business or government business that comes to the hotel, but increasingly every weekend you would see couples, families coming to enjoy time because of the activities that we have planned at both our hotels. So successfully we're able to launch drive-in, fast food takeaway services, laundry services. So there's so much more that is coming from us. So we really want to assure all of our stakeholders and investing community that we're really the brand to support in our drive to become the leading hospitality company. And we're confident that we'll continue to deliver on all stakeholder value and shareholder returns. because our mantra is really about improving lives and ensuring that we transform Nigeria across the group and across all of our investments. So this is really important to us. And thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you with these facts behind the figures today to just showcase everything that we're doing. Thank you. And I think Toby can take us very quickly through our outlook and financial forecasts.
All right, thank you. So basically, Mrs. Zupa has actually said a lot about, some of the things that we're doing in terms of our strategies and how to ensure that we stay on top. So in 2020, we began the year with a strong position just to maintain our #1 position as the hospitality brand in Nigeria and even in Africa. So despite all of that, which is actually out there, we've actually published our Q1 results. We actually saw an impressive performance in our Q1, where we recorded a total revenue of about 3.8 billion, which represents a slight decline, actually from 5% by 5% over the Q1 2020 revenue, but actually above our budget by 21%. This intensive performance, our impressive performance, is actually as a result of our intensive drive for leisure that Mrs. Zupa has mentioned. So I will not go through all of that. And just like you said, leisure has become important to us. And as a hospitality business, we'll constantly continue to challenge ourselves on how to ensure that we meet the diverse needs of our guests. In terms of our financial performance, this is actually a snapshot of our financial performance from our financial projections, rather, from 2021 to 2025. We expect that 2021 would achieve a revenue of 60% and an occupancy of 60% and a revenue of 17 billion. 2022, 21 billion and 65%. And we expect this gradual and consistent progression even up to 2025. Yes, so basically, in summary, the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has actually, further emphasized our needs to stay focused and committed to our 3 strategic core values as a group, which is enterprise, excellence, and execution. These core values will continue to guide our decision-making across the group to ensure that we deliver superior and sustained value to all our customers, shareholders, and employees. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Toby. Thank you very much. So this is it from us at Transcorp Hotels PLC. We're excited again to be here, and we're very optimistic about the market despite what the global advice is. We believe very strongly that we are key in this hospitality space, and that there's so many opportunities that we'll continue to take advantage of to deliver again to all of our stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the Transcorp team. We have heard the facts behind the figures presentation from Transcorp Hotels as delivered by Dupe Olushola, the Managing Director and CEO, Oluwatobiloba Ojediran, the Chief Financial Officer, and Ifeoma Okafor will be the Director of Business Development at Aura by Transcorp. Thank you. Thank you very much to our presenters for their detailed presentation, and to you, all our attendees. We encourage you to share your questions in the Q&A box. Make the most of this question. We encourage your active participation. As we proceed into the Q&A box, of course, I would like to encourage you once again to include your questions. But without further ado, we will take questions that we had received from analysts, ahead of the facts behind sustainability reports, the facts behind the figures presentation. So the first question I will take is, it aligns very much with the ownership structure. The question goes, Transcorp Hotels' ownership structure is reflecting majorly to one core investor at 90% ownership by this investor. What are the company's plans to ensure the company's ownership is more diverse? I guess the question is aiming to understand how Transcorp Hotels PLC is looking to diversify its ownership. I'll direct the question to you, Dupe Olushola.
Apologies, I was just trying to unmute. Yes, so that is correct, and this is really one of the things that we're focused on. Like we mentioned before, the free float requirement is that we should ensure 20%, and what we have done is we have already embarked on that process, which is part of this engagement of the facts behind the figures. We ensure that corporate governance is completely important to us, and we're engaging with the NSE on a constant basis to ensure that they have all the information and work closely to ensure we can meet those guidelines and the criteria set to meet the free float. We've appointed our financial advisors, United Capital, working closely with them as well to ensure that we can meet it when due. And some of these business initiatives that we've talked about is also to ensure that we deliver value and continue to grow a strong company that shareholders would definitely be interested in participating in additional share raising once we go to the market. We're very optimistic also from the fact that we had a successful rights issue. We believe that the market, communicating with the market is important as well, because they can see all the initiatives and all the things that we're putting out there. So it's it's a solid company, and we're working towards ensuring that we can achieve that in terms of additional shareholders for us.
Thank you very much for your response. Very detailed response. It's good to see that work is ongoing and communication is actively ongoing to address this concern from the market. I'll take another question. And I suppose this question is directed at analysts' reviews of the hospitality sector particularly. So the question is asking, analysts mentioned that concerns on high finance cost. I suppose this is the cost for raising finance, or perhaps within the sector, the hospitality sector particularly. What is the company doing to address this?
So in terms of what we're doing, really for us, the first priority, even from COVID, was really to ensure that, as a business, we stayed afloat. We are very strong emphasis on driving revenue, and that is going to be our priority, which is why you see that we've continued to not only diversify our segments, but we've also continued to just diversify in terms of even our business as well. So, as much as possible, we're ensuring that we can generate external revenues and also continue to negotiate as much as possible that we're paying the best competitive interest rates where possible. So it's just we're proactive in our approach to everything, including in terms of financing as well, which is what led us to pay down on our bond repayment and also raise additional funding as well. And it's one of the things that we're just going to continue to focus on, as well as drive revenue increase, revenue generation for the business as a whole.
Thank you very much. Detailed response as well. I'll take one more question from the analyst that we received, the analyst that sent questions prior to the session, before I go to the Q&A box. I will also, before I take this question, also encourage our attendees. We have some questions coming in. Please send the questions in. We have a very short time with Transcorp team to address your concerns. So please take advantage of the opportunities that this session brings. So the next question directly talks to COVID and the impact it has on the hospitality sector and Transcorp Hotels PLC as it were. So the question is asking, generally, what is there to know about COVID-19? What is the impact of COVID-19 on your business, and what are the particular strategies to improve performance going forward?
Okay, thank you very much, Toby. So for us, and I think it's part of the presentation, last year in February, we're doing over 55% in terms of occupancy. By March, we were down to 5% occupancy. And that continued for several months with several, key significant losses, revenue loss from our business. So COVID definitely had a huge impact on the hospitality business and on our business as well. In terms of revenue, we're reporting losses. It affected everything that we did. We had to downsize in terms of our employees. So a lot happened in terms of COVID. However, COVID also forced us to think out of the box, to really begin to embrace the new norm, to really begin to force ourselves to, to reimagine and rethink what hospitality should actually be like. So across Nigeria, which is also, with the introduction of Aura as well, across Nigeria, we have so many tourism points, so many beautiful places that have not been pushed as they should have been. So now you'll find that local tourism is so important, and this is one of the things that we're pushing as well. So for us, we will not look at COVID as a challenge. We're looking at it more as the fact that it has created so many opportunities that we are definitely ensuring that we're going to be at the forefront of, introducing new initiatives, taking advantage of the opportunities, and leading the market. So for us, it's really something that we embrace. It's something that, yes, it brought negatives with it, but it's really forced us to think inwards and to really position to take advantage of so many more opportunities and lead the market. So, some of the Aura, the new initiatives that we've put in place are only just a tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that is coming from us as a group. And I'm glad that, we're able to, again, communicate and share with you about some of these things. And we'll ensure that our engagement with the exchange is constant, so that we can carry you along, so that you know all the things that we're working on as well. Thank you.
Okay. Just before we move away from the COVID-19 topic, I did say that I will go straight into the Q&A session after this question, but I will just take one question from another analyst that aligns with the COVID-19 question. So the question goes, improving the national, okay, that's not, let me just take that. Okay, this is it. It says, it is projected that the hospitality sector will record slow growth in 2021 due to the combination of various factors, such as the restricted, limited capacity of airlines, the rising spread of the virus, delayed vaccine rollout. Evidence from hotel companies listed on NGX reveals that the pandemic ate deep into their books, as they recorded a significant decline in profits and revenue in 2020. These you have actually addressed in your immediate, the question that you just addressed, or you just responded to. What this person is asking though is, what are the long-term plans that Transcorp Hotels PLC has to prevent such a massive decline in profits going forward? So I suppose versus the question that you had previously just addressed, this question here is speaking to the long-term plans of Transcorp Hotels PLC.
Long term, in a nutshell, is really to continue to deliver value to all of our stakeholders. We're in it for the long run. We're all about sustainability across every single thing that we do. So obviously, I talked through what we've done in the short term, but we have a very detailed medium to long term strategy. And like I mentioned earlier on, we are number one in the hospitality space. We want to dominate in Nigeria, but our plan is to expand beyond Nigeria and go to Africa. So in terms of our long-term strategy, we will continue to play within this space. We're looking at things in the F&B space, which is looking at QSR, which is looking at food. We're continuing to look at different everything recreational, everything under hospitality and under entertainment. We want to be known within that space. So first in Nigeria, but very quickly, our Aura business is going to take us very quickly beyond Nigeria to other places in Africa. So, in a nutshell, really, again, we're in it for the long run. We believe in delivering, value to all of our stakeholders, and sustainability is the most important thing for us. The COVID came, it threw challenges, we had losses, but we started to see recovery from Q3, Q4 last year. And because of the initiatives and the innovativeness that we went through the market, and we continued this year, we're doing so many different things in terms of staycation, so many different things in terms of, again, leisure, and just introducing so much more to the market. So we're going to continue on that, at that pace, and introduce more into the medium to long term as well. I hope I was able to answer the question.
Yes, I believe you have. Thank you very much. So I'm going to take two questions at the same time because they are very related to each other. And I would let you address them in a way that is most convenient for you. So the first question I would take is aligning with the conversation on COVID-19. Bamidele Ogunwusi from Daily Independent has asked, we are not hoping for another wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, but in case we witness another wave, how prepared is Transcorp Hotels PLC to face this, another wave that may come up? But then again, before I leave this question, or before I allow you to address this question, I'll take another question from Godi again. This day. Good again is from this day. He's asked, what is the update on your Lagos expansion? So this question, I have picked it up because you did mention that, Transcorp wants to dominate, in the Nigerian sector and even across Africa. So I suppose these questions both discuss the interplay between the COVID-19 challenge and the expansion plans of COVID-19. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Toby. So the first question was about aligning with COVID and how prepared we are. So I will just kind of like retrace my steps to, to talk about the things that we did last year. And I'm so confident that we will be over prepared. In fact, I think one of the greatest advantages that we had was the fact that we did not close, we did not shut down the hotel. Again, priority for us was to communicate to all of our stakeholders. Everyone that stepped into our premises right through from the gate, was checked in terms of temperature, hygiene standards, every single thing. At some point, we had an entire medical practice and a doctor sitting in our lobby. We had a space created for the doctors that you go in and check. Once you had any appearance of any symptoms, people were confident of the fact that they had access to even medical facilities on site as well. In terms of the clean stay, which we mentioned as well, we went almost 100 times cleansing the room. We have an air filtration system, Decon 7, which is the same that the military use in the US as well, that actually goes through our room to cleanse it and ensure that it is well sanitized. In addition, after the cleansing has happened, what we actually do is we put a seal on the door, and that seal shows that no one else has been into the room after the cleaning has happened. So you're the first person that actually breaks your seal and goes into the room. So we took a lot of precautions. We did not, and this was actually done while a lot of hotels were shut down. So it gave us a huge advantage. And so if, touch wood, we pray that, it does, the COVID doesn't return again, and we don't, witness that in Nigeria. However, if it does happen, I am so confident that everything that we did and more, we've been able to learn and build a track record of fantastic safety and hygiene standards within the hotel. And we'll just roll out again, touch wood again. Thankfully, we never had any incidents, and this was really to all the measures that we put in place to ensure we have a patrol team on ground that ensure that people are wearing their masks in and around all the open spaces in the hotels. When you walk into the restaurants, you must enter with your mask as well. So all those things are put in place. The second question from Godi, thank you very much, Godi, was about the Lagos expansion. So part of, if some of you watched the chairman, our chairman, group chairman Tony Eluelu, who talked again today on Arise, he talked about this hospitality space and actually redefining. And when asked about Lagos Ikoyi as well, the advantage that we have is that we've had time to really redefine our play within the hospitality space. So it's not limited just to hotels. Like I mentioned earlier on, we want to recreate what leisure, what recreation, what hospitality means in Nigeria. So we're going to take advantage of all the space that we have, optimize all of our assets to ensure that we're delivering to meet all of the things that we have recreated and reimagined within this space. So hotels will be one, restaurants will be others, spa, health spaces, working spaces. We just launched our workspace by Transcorp Hotels, which actually provides space for people to go and work while they actually have access to so much going on in terms of leisure as well. So it's, watch that space. So much is coming from us. and something will come up soon as well. Prayerfully, God willing, before the end of this year. So there's so much to come from us, and we're all excited about the future of the hospitality industry, and excited about what Transcorp Hotels is going to deliver to the market as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that very elaborate response. I share your optimism about being ready for another wave. At the Nigerian Exchange, we implemented an extensive business continuity plan that made sure that we didn't shut down. Trading continued every single day throughout the lockdown. And then we ended the year as a leading stock exchange globally in fact, the best performing stock exchange best performing exchange on the Bloomberg tracked on the list of indices tracked by Bloomberg. So there's so much in terms of the preparation that the first wave has helped us prepare. And of course, previous cases of Ebola have helped across the different countries in West Africa. I'll take another question that has to do with
as well, actually. So just when you said the best performing, so Transcorp Hilton Abuja also actually is the best performing, even within the entire Hilton group, despite the challenges of the exchange. We're the best performing, best recovery. You have other managers across Hilton calling to say, what are you guys doing, at that hotel? What are you doing across the hospitality group in Nigeria? So it's really just about the fact that we saw COVID, we saw the challenges it threw, but we very quickly began to just put in place measures and initiatives that ensured that we stayed at the forefront. And it started with the mindset as well. Just immediately addressing the mindset to say, look, it's not business as usual. It is now really about what do we need to do first to stay alive as individuals, then as a business, and then next, what do we need to do to ensure that we reduce the losses, we reduce the impact of COVID. But beyond that, we now introduce new initiatives to ensure that we can increase our revenue. So, it was all around 360 to ensure that we stayed strong, and recovery came to us much earlier than the global industry had predicted.
Thank you very much. So we're running out of time, but I will take another question just to make sure we address as many questions as we can from our audience. Please do share your questions so we can address them before the session ends. Mr. Odume Festus has said great presentation and performance, despite the pandemic, of course. He says, my question is, on your forecast for 2021, do you think the insecurity in the country will allow for these projections? I mean, the COVID-19 pandemic has been one shock, but where the insecurity challenges that we're facing is another shock. How is Transcorp prepared to address this challenge?
Thank you very much for your question. I think we're all, as Nigerians, praying that we can go past the insecurity challenges that we keep hearing on a daily basis. But as a business and as a company, we are also mindful of these security challenges. Our hotel, even in Calabar, as in Calabar as well, some of these security challenges are not limited to any particular location. So in Abuja, in Calabar, we're faced with the same thing. But we believe very strongly that the government would put in place the right measures to ensure that these are actually addressed, and businesses are not affected and individuals are not affected at large. So at the hotel, however, we do not take security lightly at all. It is one of our leading, it is one of our priorities. Safety, again, is one of the key things. Safety and hygiene, I talked about that. And we continue to ensure that we have in place the right security measures to ensure that we do not have any challenges. But I think it is really beyond Transcorp Hotels as an organization, but it speaks more to Nigeria. And we all have to continue to hold, to lift our country up in prayers, and also speak up to ensure that government and all of us play the key role in ensuring that everything goes smoothly. but we are quite optimistic again. We were concerned initially about Ramadan, noting that it's a month that generally the spend is quite reduced. But what we did was we put in place a lot of initiatives that would attract a diversified guest base. So we knew that people would not spend because of Ramadan. But I'm happy to say that even or despite the Ramadan months, which is traditionally people will not necessarily have spent, we put in place attractive packages that still ensured footfall at the hotel and people came to spend. We also introduced our iftar packages at the hotel. So when you come, you actually find that a lot of our Muslim brothers and sisters are coming to break fast at the hotel. We put in place very exciting and traditional packages for them to be able to break fast with. So it's just really about, continuing to not take things for granted, think outside of the box, ensure that we're meeting all the demands of our diversified guests and customers, and prioritize security, prioritize safety of all of our stakeholders that come through the hotel. So yes, it's important to us, and we believe that it will definitely not affect our projections going forward. So far, we're exceeding the targets that we had set. From January to April, our numbers are quite good and quite positive, and we've exceeded on all accounts in terms of occupancy, exceeded also in terms of revenue drive, and we're pushing all of our outlets across the business as well. So we're optimistic that the security challenges will not throw a spanner in the works of the positive milestones that we have started to see and achieve.
Thank you very much. I will hurriedly take one more question, and then perhaps would proceed to closing the market. From Mr. Festus as well, he has asked, my question is on the free float. I mean, this is the facts behind the figures after all. When in 2023 are you going to conclude on the free float? And is 2023 not too far?
So we engaged with the exchange, and I think we agreed, that 2023 would be right. So there are a lot of key steps that we're going to take, and very clear steps actually that have been shared with us to ensure that we meet the 2023 target that was outlined. Some of them, like I mentioned, obviously involve the deployment of our business strategy and business recovery, ensure that completion of our financial audit, our AGM, continuous implementation of those recovery strategies as well, assessment, so a lot of things, continuous discussions with financial advisors, analysts, as well as engagement with leaders of the primary market unit of the exchange, and the right time to address the free float compliance. We also have, a lot of key things that have been drawn up. So it's a detailed plan that will ensure that we do meet this 2023 target that is set. Transcorp Hotels PLC remains committed to ensuring compliance with and adoption of all the good corporate governance practices that have been outlined as critical to ensuring that we can actually be fully compliant of this free float by Q2 2023. So we're confident that we will achieve it, working with the exchange and all of the other critical stakeholders, including the financial advisors that we have appointed. So yes, I know that it seems like a long time, but because they're very critical steps and milestones between now and then, we will ensure that active engagement and active communication would be our watchword on that, and we'll make sure that we achieve it as planned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're out of time. I will just hand over to Mr. Bolumole to help us close, to guide us into how to close the market.
Thank you, Olutobi. Wanted to just take a quick second to commend the team at Transcorp for an excellent presentation. I think we have about 4 more seconds, so may I invite the CEO, Mrs. Dupe Olushola, to close the market, please. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that familiar sound represents the end of another successful trading day. I really wanted to commend the team at Transcorp, led by Mrs. Dubolushola, for excellently shepherding this facts behind the figures. I think the dialogue was very informative and very insightful. And I think the company did a great job in explaining really the facts behind the figures. We wish you well as your business continues to thrive, and know that you have a home in the exchange. This event has now ended. I wish us all continued safety during these very interesting times. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, and have a good